All right, so this week we're going to talk about how you can use the 3D tools to create some interesting effects, specifically background effects. And we're going to use the primitive shapes that are built into CS4 Extended. So we'll begin with a regular file here, and I've got just a standard background. I'm going to go ahead and add some color to this background. And everybody knows I like using blue, so we'll go ahead and get a blue color swatch here. I'm just going to go ahead and fill my background layer with this color. We'll go under Edit, Fill, and we will use the foreground color. And of course, we'll set this all to normal and everything looks good, and we'll click OK. And I'm going to give some variation to this background. I'm just going to go ahead and add a new blank layer above that one. And I'm going to go over here and use that same color, blue, but this time I'm going to use the gradient tool and just draw a gradient. In fact, we'll do this a radial gradient using the foreground to transparent, which is the second gradient icon here. And I'm just going to draw a gradient from the top left corner down to the bottom right. Now, we don't see the actual gradient because it is the same color as the background, but it is there, as you can see right here. And I'm just going to change that blend mode from normal to screen. And that's going to give me kind of a light to dark blue color there. And I'm going to go ahead and merge that color down so we've got a solid background. Well, now what I want to do is create a primitive shape, a primitive 3D shape. But if I do this now, it's going to wrap this background graphic around my 3D layer because I'm currently selected on this layer, which is the only layer in my image. If I go over here and create a new blank layer, and then we'll go under the 3D menu, and again, this is a CS4 Extended only feature. I'm going to go into the 3D menu, go down here to New Shape from Layer, and we've got a number of different primitive shapes we can choose from. And we're going to go crazy, and this time choose the donut. That's right. It's the 3D donut. If I go over here and grab my 3D rotation tool, you can see I got what looks like a 3D donut. Now, most people would pull up this primitive shape, look at it, and go, okay, there's a donut, and I don't know what I'm ever going to do with a 3D donut in Photoshop, because we all have a need for a 3D donut. But you can get creative with this by just applying some very simple effects. In this case, we're going to mask this object in 3D. So what you want to do is go over here and open your 3D panel under the window menu, and here we have all our 3D features. I'm going to jump over here to the third icon at the top here, which is the materials section of our 3D object. We're going to jump over here and go down where it says opacity. And you've got a setting here for the overall opacity, but you've also got this little icon here where it allows you to add or create a texture. In this case, we're going to go ahead and create a new texture, and I'm just going to go ahead and make it the same size as my document, which I can see is roughly 7 by 5 inches. So we'll go ahead into that icon, new texture. We'll make it approximately the same size. And it creates a new document, and it attaches the name, as you can see, right next to the name there. We're going to go back into that same menu this time, and this time we're going to choose Open Texture. So it opens up that file. And what I want to do here is apply, you can apply virtually anything. It is a mask image. It works very similar to that of a layer mask in Photoshop, where white reveals and black hides. So what we're going to do is just add some graphical element here to mask our donut with. So in this case, I'm going to grab the gradient tool. And once again, I'm going to use that foreground to transparent, but this time you'll notice that black is set as my foreground color, and we're just going to jump over here in the center of the document, or approximately the middle, and just drag out a radial black gradient. So there we go. Well, now what I'm going to do is go ahead and apply a halftone pattern to this. So I'm going to go into the filter menu and go to Pixelate, Color Halftone. And inside here, I'm going to go ahead and set the max radius to 15. And each one of these channel settings, I'm going to set to 0. So I'm going to hit 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, tab, 0. And there we are all set. We'll go ahead and click OK. So you can see it's created that halftone pattern, looks good and everything. But now what I want to do is if I close this now and save it, it's going to reveal that area that's white. And you'll notice it's the area outside of my pattern. I actually need to invert this so that the dots are white and the background's black. So you just go under the image menu, go to Adjustments, Invert, and it flips those colors around. So now we'll only see the white areas, and it's going to hide the black areas. So you notice we're still inside that mask layer, so I'm going to go ahead and close this and save the changes and watch what magically happens to our donut. Boom. It has now masked it, giving me a very interesting effect here. So it's basically wrapped that halftone graphic or that halftone effect around the donut, allowing us to see through at certain points. Now we can go ahead and scale this object up, and there we can go and move it around. Now you can also go in here, grab the slide tool, and let's just go up inside the donut here. And we can, again, since we're inside, use that rotation tool and just maneuver this around in 3D space. Now, to make it blend with our background, of course, it's as simple as going into the Layers panel and changing the layer blend mode from normal to, let's say, overlay. And look at that really cool, interesting background effect we're getting just by masking a halftone graphic to the shape of a donut. And I can position this almost anywhere and get a very cool effect for a background element. Get some elements right here. You'll notice some elements are in the foreground here, extreme foreground, so it looks like it's got kind of a depth of field to it. And you can also get really creative with the donut itself. You'll see it's a regular donut shape, but if you go in here and grab your axis widget options and highlight over any one of these tools here, you can actually squash and stretch the shape itself, almost on pretty much on any axis, really. And just maneuver that around, and there we get a different effect altogether. We can go ahead and slide up inside of it. Just use that slide tool and push up inside there. And we can maneuver this object around while we're inside of it, getting a very, very interesting effect just by masking that primitive shape in 3D. Pretty cool stuff, huh?